stand with me? Now you're used to this, right? This standing up. Now, what was the first thing? Speech. Second thing? Conduct. Third thing? Love. Fourth thing? Aha, faith. Now, the last thing is purity. Purity. Now, I used to think when I got married, which I did, that my eyes would not notice all the other ladies. That's what I used to think. Why? Oh, I settled, didn't I? You know what settling is? You settle for one. So I thought because I've settled for one, I would not see or notice or desire anybody else. Wow. What a fool. Because you know what? If there's a young lady, I'm at the shopping mall and she's wearing a miniskirt, trust me, I'm a Christian. You heard that? So let me say it up front. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. But I will notice. So that means I'm going to need rules to guide me so that even if I notice, I don't stay there like, yeah. Now, I can't pray and say, Lord, make sure no improperly dressed girl will ever walk in front of me. That prayer will not be answered. But the prayer I can pray is that, God, if that ever happens, there's a line I cannot cross. I set boundaries this far and no more. So, purity is this. Go like this? Okay, that's purity. Simple. Now, usually when you see praying hands, that's what you're going to need. I'm serious. You're going to need to pray in many situations. Why? If you don't, you're in trouble. You are in serious trouble. In fact, God will show up in those times. Because when you are in some of those moments, you even forget who you are. So you're going to need purity. Let's define what purity is. Take your seats. So purity is your moral status with a commitment to not getting defiled. Oh, man. Your moral status with a commitment to not getting defiled. You get it? That's important. That's important. Now, if God didn't want us on earth, he would have saved us and taken us to heaven. We will all be safe. But somehow he saves us and keeps us here. That's a difficult one. Why? This world is full of all sorts of evil, isn't it? And you can't say, we are going to find a place where there is no evil. It's all around us. So that means to maintain purity, you need to make decisions about things you shouldn't do before they happen. Before they happen. So that means purity is about seeing evil at a distance when it's coming your way, and then you let it pass. Why? You are not standing in its way and say, okay, let's see. we will see you down. We will see you down. So that means here's how you become smart as a young person. There are things you need to decide now. I just don't do that. So, for example, I know on most television stations here in South Africa, after 8:30, the movies that come on are not good. Okay, I see some of you are going like this because you know. Good. I'm glad. Because if you don't know, you're in trouble. Why? You get in there. So, I also know when a movie is 16, I'm told even some of the movies that are PG-13 are not easy to watch. There's so many things. Now, that's a decision you need to make. I can't make that decision for you. Because why? Some of you think, it's just a movie. It's what's happening to your heart, to your mind, while you're feeding and feasting yourself on that. In fact, I was in a conversation with some of my friends yesterday when I said to them, I don't remember when last I went to a cinema. I don't. Why? I'm scared. What's scary about going to watch movies? Oh, it's the stuff that happens there. And what happens to my heart after I've watched certain things. So that's a decision I've made. In fact, here's another decision I made. In our home, we rarely watch a movie that our daughter cannot watch. That's purity. Drawing a line. Deciding we're not going to cross that line. One guy said to me, look, I can be with a girl, I can even share the same bed with her, and nothing will happen. I says, only if you did. He says, I know how to control myself. Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. One guy who told me that statement, I guess the devil came to him in the shape of a sweet 16-year-old girl. She won. The key to personal purity is a determined heart where decisions concerning moral issues are already settled. You know what's worse? To find yourself in a situation and you now have to try and decide which way to go. That's bad. Why? That decision must already be settled before you see yourself and find yourself in that situation. Does that make sense? For example, why don't I smoke? I made that decision years back. Now, if I go into a restaurant and someone lights up a cigarette and says, would you like one? Do I say, yeah. No, that decision is made. It's done. So, if a lady wants to see me in private, and she happens to be a lady and it's just going to be me and her talking, even if it's spiritual things, what's the decision? What's the decision? Public place. Why? We are not made of rubber and steel. We are flesh and blood. Okay. You find out one day. So notice the biblical standard of purity. Do you want to get it? Read it with me. But among you... Okay, you can't read. Let me help you. Let's go together. But among you, there must not be even. Whoa! Even a hint. Do you know what a hint is? A suggestion. You know, when people are being nice to you, You ask them, how do I look? And they say, not bad. They're actually suggesting you are bad. Because if you're good, they tell you are good, right? So if they say, it's not bad, trust me, they are saying, you need a makeover, type of thing. Now, when it comes to immorality, it's saying there must not even be a hint among you. But I find in today's world, when you wear something, it must be sexy. The tighter it is, the better. The shorter it is, the better. And so forth and so on. Here's a biblical standard of purity. There must not even be a hint. Yeah. I went to a church somewhere. And preachers are usually on the podium, so you're looking down on the congregation and sort of looking up. And I noticed the ladies in the front who had been singing in the choir, by the way, and they reserved seats right here. When they all sat down, I didn't know where to look. Because if you're wearing a short skirt and you sit down, it's even shorter. I noticed. Church. So after the service, I went to the pastor and says, could you invest in blankets? He says, why? I says, to cover or make them sit elsewhere. Because you didn't know where to look. You're preaching and you're looking into the sky. Jesus saved you. But look at the list. It says not just sexual immorality, but any kind of impurity. Any kind. All of greed. Ooh. What is greed? You don't enjoy what you have. You want more. That's why some of you, as soon as an iPhone is released, you want it. What's wrong with the one you have? Just want upgrades, and you don't even work. A few years ago, we wanted a dream car. And our dream car was a car called a RAV4. My goodness, I love that small little SUV. It was small enough for us. We didn't have kids then. And so my wife and I thought, perfect. So we bought it. The week we bought it, they released a new shape. Can I give you good news or bad news? You never arrive. So, look at this. Rare these days are the combinations of good looks and virginity. Rare. Any beautiful girl you find, and you find success and purity. Rare. Youth and maturity. Rare. You don't find these things together these days. Why? We have just walked past that boundary of purity and break it every time. So, I don't know if you know about Natalie Dillon. It was in 2009, an American student attempted to auction her virginity to what? To pay for a master's degree in what? In family and marriage. And the bidding went up to 2.5 million USDs. So we have to ask the question, has she become a commodity that she has to be auctioned with something so personal and precious? Hence I'm saying rare to find beauty, virginity, rare. To the extent I've said to young people in a certain context, if Jesus were to be born today, where would God find Mary? Or even a Joseph? Would he? Would he find? So the ornament then of true beauty is character, and the bedrock of character is purity. You know, when a baby is born, they look amazing, godly. No, I remember my wife one day when our little daughter, as innocent as she was just a couple of months old, she was beginning to teeth, and my wife is breastfeeding her and just singing to her, and then this baby beat her. And she screamed. She almost wanted to throw the baby away, and I had to go rescue the situation. You may look innocent, but we know what you're capable of. You need to draw a line that you cannot cross. So, here's how we're going to help you today. Look at 2 Timothy 2, verse 20 and 21. It says, now in a great house, there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay, some for honorable use, but some for dishonorable. Now, we think it's talking about vessels, but then it changes and says, therefore, if anyone, it's talking about us, if anyone cleanses himself from what is dishonorable, he will be a vessel for what? Honorable use, set apart as holy, useful to the master of the house, ready for every good work. Now, we talked a moment ago about being faithful so God can trust us with his things. The way we become trustworthy is to cleanse ourselves to become what? Honorable vessels. Then we're pure. So today you need to make a decision to live a holy life. Why? You start to see God's hand upon you. God will protect you. God will lead you. Now, if that's not true about you, you are a vessel of dishonor. Those are the two choices we have. Honorable, dishonorable. Noble, ignoble. But if you cleanse yourself, you can be a vessel of honor, fit for the master's good use. So, I want to ask you today, where have you drawn the line to avoid contaminating yourself with what is unacceptable? Are there lines you are crossing willy-nilly, without thinking, and then you are forever paying the price because why? You just find yourself doing it yet again. Today is a day to make a decision and say, there's a line there that I'll never cross again. There's a line I'll never cross. What is that line? Would you bow down with me? Father, you desire of us to set an example for all believers in speech, how we speak, in conduct, how we behave. How we behave. In love, how we have regard for others. In faith, that we become trustworthy. And then in purity, so we become vessels of honor. That's your requirement. As young people, we choose to make a commitment. I'll be mature by setting an example for all believers in these 5 areas. That's the commitment I make to you today. And so change me and make me a better person. In Jesus' name, amen.